What's up, guys? My name is Andre. I'm the CEO of edgeful.com, and in this video, we're going to be covering the ultimate bullish setup on NQ. So this is pretty much just a group of reports that you can use to build a very high probability setup. And we're starting out with the inside bars report right here. This is bookmarked for me. You can find it right over here as well in the report section. And let's get right into it. So the inside bars report, this is very important, only tracks days that open within the previous session's range. So in this case, we're looking at the New York session. You can see that right here. And that means that we are looking at only the price action within these blue boxes. Now, these blue boxes are the edgeful market sessions indicator. And the way that you can get access to those is right over here on the right side. You click on TradingView Indicator Access. Right over here, you're going to put your TradingView username in that box, which my username is edgeful. Yours will be something else. You can find it by clicking this profile button up here. And then you'll see when you click on your indicators, all of these indicators come up. And the one that you want to put on starting out is the market sessions. Now, I have the customizations to hide the London and Tokyo sessions, which will appear like this. I have just New York to clean things up. Now, you can see that this day right here opened within the previous day's range. So let me mark out the previous day's high. I'll make this yellow. And then I want to mark out the previous day's low. So what this report is measuring is for every time price opens within yesterday's range, how often will it break out or touch yesterday's high or low? So you can see that in the last 6 months on NQ, 76% of the time, when price opens within the range, it will either touch this side here or this side here. So that means that whether we get long or short, we have a very solid target between these two. Now let's go to the opening candle continuation report. This is the next report that we're going to look at. This report looks at the first hour of the session. And if that first hour is green, how often does the day close green? And you can see in the last 6 months, if that first hour is green, almost 84% of the time, the day has closed green. So that is very bullish, obviously. And then if the first hour is red, almost 80% of the time, the day will close red. So let's go to our indicators, scroll down, opening candle continuation. This is going to plot for us right over here. I need to turn on the days back to 20. And you can see right over here, the opening candle is plotted for me, and it's green. So if I scroll over, you can see here's a red one. So this will automatically plot for you. And what's really nice about every single one of these reports that I'm going to talk about is that they're in the what's in place section. So you actually don't have to identify when they're setting up or not. You can just see that, this is, for example, today. I'm not using, this is from a few weeks ago. But you can see today the opening candle was red, your bias should be bearish. So you can see in the what's in play right here. And then you can also go to the what's in place section, which I'll show you very quickly right over here. And you can see opening candle continuation red. And then you can see the opening stats opened above yesterday's high. So in this case, the ultimate bullish setup in its true form didn't work out because price needs to open within yesterday's range. So in this case, it wouldn't have set up today. But let's go back to the opening candle continuation report. And you can see the first hour is green, therefore we want to have a very bullish bias. Now, and that, by the way, is making us lean towards this target here, obviously, and not this one. We want to be bullish. Now let's go to the initial balance breakout report. And I'm going to go to NQ here. And what you can see here is this is the initial balance is the first hour of the session. So the same time that it takes for the opening candle to form, the initial balance will form. So let's go to our indicators, turn on our initial balance. I go to my settings and put 20 days back. And you can see right over here, the high of the first hour and the low of the first hour right over here. Now, in the last 6 months, price will only break out of one side of that initial balance 83% of the time. So the moment that it breaks out to one side, you have a very strong bias for price not to come down. Let me just show you. You do not want price to come down and target this initial balance low. You want to expect it to stay a single break day because over 80% of the time in the last 6 months, it has done that. So let's recap for a second. We need price to open within yesterday's range, number one. Number 2, you wait for the opening candle and the initial bounce to form. If the opening candle is green, which is bullish, we want price to break to the initial balance high, which is also bullish. If the opening candle is green and price breaks to the initial balance low, to me, that's no trade because you have two very strong 80+% reports that are conflicting. So now after the first hour, we have our opening candle, we have our initial balance levels. Now we have to wait for price to break either the high or the low of the initial balance. After it does that, we have now our bias and we have our target. Now we need our entry and our stop. So let's go to right over here, the sub-report section, and let's go to the buy retracement variant of this report. And what you can see here, what this report looks at is for every time, number 1, it is a single break day. This only looks at single break days. Right over here, we have breakout, which means it broke to the initial balance high. And then over here, we have breakdown, which means it broke only to the initial balance low. What this report measures is after the first candle breaks out of the initial balance, how far back into the initial balance will it go while still being a single break day. So you can see right here, we have the breakout by retracement, and you can see the 25% retracement. 64% of the time, price is going to get here. Now, how do you know where that is? We're going to double click on our initial balance indicator, or you can just go straight to the settings right here. You can see we have the retracement levels right here, 1 and 2. These are the two that you want to put on, the 25 and the 50%. So, if you know that after the first break of the initial bounce, price 64% of the time has retraced at least to this 25% mark, this is a wonderful place to enter. If you enter right at the breakout here, 64% of the time, you're going to be in drawdown. So have the patience, set your orders. You can wait to enter right here. So let's mark that out quickly. Right here. So this is your entry. Now we know where we want to target, right? We know we want to target up here. And now where do we put our stop? What this report also says is that only 28% of the time on a single break day, price will reach this 50% retracement level. And by the way, these are all customizable down here. You can change the retracement levels to be whatever you want. You can make it 10%, whatever you want. Play around with it. I highly recommend it. Will change the results a lot. This is just the default. So if you know that on a single break day, which is what you want price to be, or you want this day to be a single break day, if you know that on all single break days, price has only gotten to this 50% mark 28% of the time while not breaking this other side, right over here is a great place to put your stop. Because the moment that price starts to come down all the way over here, it's a lot less likely that today's still going to be a single break day. So pretty much we want price to break out and we want continuation to the upside. We do not want price to come down here. We're going with the odds, the 80+% odds of today being green from the opening candle, of price only breaking one side of the opening range, and of price breaking out of previous day's high. So this is a great place to invalidate your trade. And now, as you can see, price breaks out, comes back to that 25%, does not touch the 50, and then wonderfully touches the previous day's high, which is your target. Now this is a 3.9R. Some days will be closer in, some days will be further out, but this is a wonderful trade setup, all data backed that you can use. So let's recap for a second. From step 1, you want price to open within yesterday's range, which is the inside bars report. And you want to expect price to break out either to the top side or to the bottom side. Number 2, opening candle. You want it to be green. So that first hour you want it to be green. You can always look at our what's in place section up top to determine whether it's green or not. And you can use our trading view indicator. Next, the initial balance forms. You want to wait for price to break out. You want price to break out to the top side of the initial balance because that falls in line with your bullish bias from the opening candle continuation, being green. Now in terms of your entry, you want to enter at the 25% retracement because you know 64% of the time in the last 6 months, price will retrace back to this point. You want to put your stop below or at the 50% retracement mark because it is a lot less likely that price is going to do this. So there's that. And then finally, your target, you want to target a break of either the previous day's high or low. And obviously today we're going to target the previous day's high because of all the bullish factors right over here. The opening candle, the initial bounce. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to our support right over here. Now, I want to mention here that all of these reports are in the What's in Play right now. So if you go to the What's in Play section, and you can also see them on the reports themselves, but if you go over here and you uncheck some of these reports, you can see right here, you can see initial bounce. Let me make this a little bit bigger. You can see initial bounce broke to the downside here today. So that's not the bullish setup. Opening candle was red. That's a bearish bias. This is a bearish bias too. But this right here, opening stats or inside bars, we're about to release the one for the inside bars, but in the meantime, you can use this. You can see this opened above yesterday's high. So now your target, you would need to use something else for the target. You cannot use previous day's high, obviously, because we opened outside of previous day's high. This will tell you when each of these are setting up every day. Now, obviously, it is very important that you follow these different criteria. If you want to use different targets, that's totally fine. There are a bunch of other reports that you can use, like the buy levels, initial balance buy levels. I recommend checking that out. But this setup specifically, this is it. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I hope this is helpful. Have a good one.